संसद में जहां महंगाई को लेकर विपक्ष बहुत दिनों से हंगामा कर रहा था और लगातार चर्चा कराने की मांग कर रहा था, तो आज इस पर चर्चा शुरू हो गई। चर्चा की शुरुआत करते हुए कांग्रेस सांसद मनीष तिवारी ने कहा कि सरकार ने सब कुछ महंगा कर दिया है और किचन का बजट बिगाड़ दिया है। वहीं टीएमसी ने कहा कि सरकार हमें कच्चा खाना खाने के लिए मजबूर कर रही है। सुनिए संसद में बहस के अंश।
पिछले 14 महीने से डबल डिजिट महंगाई दर है इस देश में, पिछले 30 साल में सबसे ज्यादा। अप्रैल 2022 में ये 15.8% था, जुलाई में थोड़ा कम हुआ है और कंज्यूमर फूड प्राइस इंडेक्स जो है वो बिल्कुल आसमान छू रहा है। और इसके ऊपर आपने जो रोजमर्रा की चीजें हैं उसके ऊपर जीएसटी बढ़ा दिया, आटे के ऊपर, पनीर के ऊपर, दही के ऊपर, शाही के ऊपर, पेंसिल के ऊपर, शार्पनर के ऊपर। आपने तो बच्चों को भी नहीं छोड़ा। सरकार ने अपना बजट तो ठीक कर लिया होगा, पर 25 करोड़ जो इस देश में गृहस्थियां हैं उनका बजट पूरी तरह से बिगाड़ दिया।
Payment made towards oil bonds from the revenue collected is 3.4%. 3.4%. So therefore, please do not keep telling us that oil prices are going up because we have to service oil bonds.
तो जब चल रही थी तो महाराष्ट्र की तब की महाविकास आघाड़ी सरकार ने इन्हें ऑन रिकॉर्ड खत लिखा था कि ये सब मत करिए। तो जीएसटी काउंसिल का हमें मत बताइए कि महाराष्ट्र सरकार ने भी सपोर्ट किया था सभा, और ये कभी वोटिंग लेते हैं। बहुत सारी चीजें मैंने पिछली बार भी माननीय वित्त मंत्री से पूछा था कि ऐसी कौन सी चीजें हैं जो ऐसी है कि या नहीं भी ऑन रिकॉर्ड वो हाँ या ना में जवाब दे कि आप सारी चीजें जीएसटी काउंसिल में जो पास।
हाँ सर, आप है, इसीलिए मैं उसके ऊपर चिंता नहीं करें।
आप उनको परमिशन मत दो कि वो विधान पैदा करें।
Sir, let us please be in this house looking at India today compared to what is happening in the rest of the world. Just 2 or 3 highlights will tell you where India is compared to the rest of the world. And why should we have to compare to the rest of the world? Because whether it was in 2008 or usse pehle, we've never seen a calamity of this kind, a pandemic of this kind. And coming out of the pandemic, even as all of us were trying to make sure that people in our constituencies, people in our states, people in our area are given that extra help, each at our own level. I recognize that everybody, members of parliament and also state governments, have all played their role. Otherwise, India today will not be where it is compared to the rest of the world. So I fully credit the people of India for this kind of a, even against adversity, that we are able to stand up and be recognized as the fastest growing economy. And this is not my assessment. Repeatedly in the last 2 years, both World Bank, IMF and many other agencies are periodically giving an estimate of what the global trade is going to be like, what the growth of the global GDP is going to be like, and also recasting their assessment about what the world's growth is going to be, and by country what the assessment is going to be. And each time when they have reviewed, when they've downgraded the global growth, when they have reassessed saying no, it is not as we thought 6 months ago, it is worse, it is getting worse. In each of these times, India also has been reduced in terms of the growth it is expected to achieve, but even after that, we remain as the fastest growing. If it was with 8.2%, now it's maybe 7.4%. But even as the entire globe's growth is being reviewed, reassessed, re-estimated, each time we remain at the highest. So it is important for us to, first of all, as Indians, appreciate that our people have gone through this pandemic Delta wave, Omicron wave, and after that the way in which global value chains have hit us. But in spite of that, because of the various steps taken by the government and also by the Reserve Bank of India, we are remaining much better than most countries. I think
नौ माननीय सदस्य, देखिए माननीय सदस्य, एक मिनट माननीय मंत्री जी, एक मिनट। माननीय सदस्यगण, आप सबने अपनी बात रखी, मंत्री जी ने आपकी बात को ध्यानपूर्वक सुना, कोई बीच में इंटरप्ट नहीं किया। मेरा आपसे आग्रह है, आप भी उनके जवाब को पूरा सुने। सबको बता दिया माननीय मंत्री जी।
So, globally when the situation is really like this and every agency after agency is assessing the situation by country and repeatedly in their assessment India has remained the highest, I think this House, irrespective of the party differences, will have to feel proud for this country and its people. They have struggled. State governments have helped. And it is exactly this, sir. It is exactly this which I'm trying to address. It is not that the country doesn't have problems. We have to work together to do it, and we are trying to do it. But even as we are trying to do it, and even as the global agencies are saying this country is suffering like that, that country is suffering with these problems, a third country is suffering with something else, and India is like this. It's a moment that all of us will have to be true to ourselves, rather than, excuse me, ma'am, do you have a problem if I speak? There's nothing about warring here. I'm sorry, I take objection to that, Honorable Speaker, sir. Because you are there in front of me, sir. You are there in front of me. Before I complete one sentence. Oh, thank you very much. The person who's mercurial in this House tells me not to be excited. I take your point. Mercurial. So, sir, it's important for us to, for all the members, through you, I would like to say, I'm quite convinced of every input given, and I think it's my duty to respond. But even before hearing me, if there's mockery, I will take it definitely seriously to reply those who like to mock rather than hear. So I would seek your indulgence on that. Sir. Sir, this is why I want to say this to you. When there can be interruptions which are serious, and when there are mocking tone coming from there, I reserve my right as a member of this House to reply to those. And if that is treated as dumpy, what should be the first one which comes? Treated as mocking or dumpy?
Sir, she is not a member of this House.
Oh, thank you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be. All right, in that House or this House. Dada, you're always very keen on coming up with things which are not so relevant for the conversation.
एक मिनट, मैं सभी माननीय सदस्यों से फिर आग्रह करूंगा कि आप बैठे बैठे टिप्पणी न करें, और माननीय मंत्री जी इनकी बेटी टिप्पणी को आप सुने नहीं क्योंकि कोई रिकॉर्ड में नहीं जा रहा है, और ये मैं अपेक्षा करूंगा बेटे बेटे को टिप्पणी न करें, नहीं तो मुझे नाम से पुकारना पड़ेगा।
I'm not a member of this house, but with your permission, I'm here because I have to reply, sir.
Kyun?
So the senior member, Saugata Roy, should probably take that into his, system. Okay, thank you, thank you. Please recall your glorious days when you were trying to talk to me about onions, na? Recall those days, because you always had that approach to women in the house. Sir.
आप बोलिए ना, आप बेटे बेटे टिप्पणी मत सुनिए आप कोई।
Sir, the GDP of the US fell 0.9% in the second quarter, following a 1.6 decline in the first quarter, marking a start of what they call themselves an unofficial recession. There were some members who were saying, even Adirji mentioned, are we going into a stagflation? And will the finance minister please reply? I will first of all start with the last speaker, but the leader of the opposition here. There is no question of India getting into recession or stagflation. Adirji, you please be assured there is no question of us getting into either a stagflation or, like the US, they may say technical recession, whatever. Sir,
please, Mani Sir, please, no. No.
Sir, it is not just me, sir.
No.
A Bloomberg survey, which was done by economists, sir, has said that zero probability of India slipping into recession. So it's not just me saying, there is zero probability of India slipping into recession, even though there are several major economies who are in substantial risky positions of getting into recession. So again, because we are comparing, I start with comparing things which are happening globally and also position myself in telling about India. Bank and bank's health are equally important for looking at the economy and its situation at any point in time. Compared globally, 4,000 banks in China are reportedly on the verge of going bankrupt. I want that to be taken cognizance of by the honorable members. In India, the gross non-performing assets, the NPAs, of scheduled commercial banks has hit a 6-year low of 5.9% in FY22. So China, 4,000 odd banks are on the verge of going bankrupt and our NPAs are improving. Sir, again on government debt. Government debt is one of the important criteria with which you measure the economy. The debt to GDP ratio of many countries are in triple digits. And that includes Japan, Greece, Italy, Bhutan, Singapore, US, Portugal, Spain, France, Sri Lanka, and Canada. Whereas the central governments very consciously has controlled its debt, and it is at 56.29% of the GDP at the end of 21-22, compared to 59.9% pegged in the revised estimates for that year. So even from the revised estimates, we have brought it further down. So even when comparing the general government debt, which means the center and the states, India is in a far better position than its peers. According to the IMF data, it's not me saying it, with a general debt to GDP ratio of 86.9, which includes both center and states. So I just want to draw the attention of members. So globally, if the situation is pandemic, Russia, wave, second wave, third wave, and the Ukraine conflict and the disruption in the supply chain, if globally each country is in this situation, India's position, I've just given you some few comparisons. Today, sir, this morning, we have announced the GST collection for the entire month of July. July 22, we have garnered the second highest level ever since the introduction of the GST, which is 1.49 lakh crores. Second highest. And compared to the last year, this is one of the highest amounts. This year in April, you may be aware, I'd like to gently remind, in April 2022, it was 1.67 lakh crores, which was the highest reached. Now we've got in July 22, the second largest, which is 1.49. This is the fifth consecutive month that collections have been above 1.4 lakh crores. GST collections have been above 1.4 lakh crores consecutively for 5 full months. So the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, which has also come out only in the morning, I think, and it is at 8 months highest number of 56.4 for July. So the trend for output and new orders are strengthening, so the economy is really getting even more robust.